Welcome to episode 11 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, presented by Changeup. I'm Matt Zatilli. I am joined alongside by my co-host, Owen Shadrick. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, and Owen, tonight, we play baseball.
It's opening day. Let's go. I'm so excited. I'm sure all of you are too. Let's go.
We finally made it. We have live action for you tonight. 2 games on hand, North Shore at Nashua at 6 o'clock and Worcester at New Britain at 6:35. And we have some exciting news. If you cannot attend in person, the Futures League has a brand new partnership with Blue Frame Technology. It's the official FCBL streaming network. And to purchase it, visit FCBLnetwork.com, select a broadcast, and follow the purchase instructions. It is only $8 per game, and it's $99 for an all-access pass. That will get you every game all season long. And through Saturday, July 5th, the all-access pass is only $75 for the whole season. That's a 25% discount, so act fast. Today, we have an awesome interview with Evan Moorhouse, the general manager of the Westfield Starfires. He was my boss last summer when I was with the team. He's a good friend of both Owen and myself. He had a lot of great things to say about how they're prepping for their second year in the league and some expectations they have, both with the returning cast of players and with some new additions, which you'll find Evan is very excited to share. So without further ado, let's get into Evan Moorhouse. And FCBL fans, we will see you at the ballpark very soon. Now, here's Evan Moorhouse. At this time, we now welcome on a very special guest. It is Evan Moorhouse, the general manager of the Westfield Starfires. Evan, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me. It's about time. I've been waiting for this call for a while, so looking forward to it.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on. We talked to Danny earlier, so you're our second representative from Westfield, and this is going to be releasing on opening day, Thursday, so get amped. Baseball's here, and we're super excited for it, as I'm sure you are.
Yeah, we're thrilled. Hopefully I give you some good energy here for opening day. It's a big one. No, we're excited. Obviously, as you guys know, there's been a lot of work put into making this happen, and we had our first practice yesterday, and we kind of reiterated that to the guys that there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to even have baseball this summer. So, obviously it's a super exciting day for us, and we're really looking forward to it.
So to jump right into it, we're recording on Tuesday afternoon, and you mentioned you guys had your first practice yesterday. What was it like to get everyone on the diamond together for the first time and kind of have those icebreakers, get a chance to see the team in action and just hear the crack of the bat again?
It was good. I mean, hearing the crack of the bat again is it's a little bit different this year. It sounds off the bat are some things that maybe we might not be used to given the influx of talent that we've had this season. But I think the biggest thing for us, for me anyways, personally, my message was all based on COVID stuff. It's not the typical message you like to give players when they're coming to a league where they're hoping to get looked at and improve their game. But unfortunately, it's the reality we live in. So that was my message, just trying to maintain some social distancing, some sanitary high fives, just tapping gloves and helmets. So it was a little weird, and we joke about it, but this year I got to play COVID police. So, that was different for all of us, I think, but the general feeling around Bullens Field yesterday was, super high energy, a lot of fun, just big smiles, happy to see guys yucking it up and having a good time on a baseball field again. I think it's an image that a lot of us have been waiting to see for a long time.
Yeah, and you talk about, the high fives and stuff that's regular baseball stuff, no, like sunflower seeds, gum, all that stuff just won't be allowed because of COVID, and it's tough.
Yeah, it's funny. We joke about, putting fines on guys, obviously not actually, but, we talk about kangaroo court with a couple of guys who may get caught spitting once in a while. And, it's tough. And we kind of reiterate that every day to them is it's all very different from what we're used to. And it's going to take some time, and everybody's going to do something that they're going to spit on accident. And as long as we're cognizant of it and we're holding each other accountable. I think that's players and staff alike, and keeping an eye on it together. We'll get there. There'll be some, like I said, some faults, but we'll figure it out. And hopefully baseball is the one norm that continues.
Yeah, staying on the COVID discussion, how were your talks with the town of Westfield, and what was the biggest obstacle that you faced in trying to get the okay to play?
I think for us was, the talks have been great. We have a tremendous community. Mayor Don Hamilton has been fantastic with us, and kind of worked hand in hand with us as much as we could have asked for to get this thing off the ground. I think the biggest thing is kind of going along with the state guidelines and the phases. And in terms of, us specifically, it's the groups, and, we've been trying to get guys out to practice, in really small groups in the last couple of weeks, but it's, we have to follow the guidelines just as much as everybody else does. And, we're walking on eggshells, so to speak. We don't want to do anything that we shouldn't be. So, they've been really clear with us, and we've tried to follow specifically what they asked of us. And as long as we continue to do that, we'll be all right.
And can you talk about some of the precautions that you'll be implementing at Billy Boland's Field in terms of both players and fans? Kind of walk us through what it's going to look like in terms of concessions, how fans are going to be able to buy tickets. Last year, you guys featured the beer garden in right field, just kind of talking about everything that's going into your job logistics-wise, making sure everyone's health is prioritized.
Yeah, so as you guys both know, you've been to Bones. There's a lot of standing room there, which benefits us tremendously in terms of fans. We are going to have some seating arrangements that are marked off by seats. We actually have two-tone seats in the grandstand, which is huge for us because we can tell fans specifically which color seats to sit in, which are all well distanced. And again, back to a lot of standing room. The beer garden will be back, which is great news. Starfire IPAs will be pumping out of the beer garden for sure. But again, it's a little bit easier to social distance in the standing room only. We'll have some areas marked off. A lot of signs around the park that reminds people to social distance. Asks to sanitize. Tickets will all be done mobily. For the most part, we'll have a few that we offer at the box office, which will be a limited kind of hand-to-hand transaction. It'll be we'll hand a ticket and they'll take it and drop it in a box for us. So it's not exchanging too many hands. And in terms of players, again, we kind of work with the league on that one. And I think as Owen mentioned, no spitting, no seeds. The high fives have to be limited. Something new that we're going to do, can't speak for other teams, but we'll have our starting 9 in the dugout only. Potentially with a bench player or two. And the remaining players will be down in the bullpen on bleachers, socially distanced seating. So a little bit different in that sense. Fans-wise, again, go back to that. It's just the onus is also on us, as much as it's on them to kind of remind themselves in their own head social distancing. For us, it's our job to be there and help guide them through things that might be new to them when showing up to Boland's Field.
So you just mentioned that your players will be down in the bullpen. So or how will your manager call pitchers that are bench? Will it be the same thing as the bullpen? There will be
Yeah, similarly. Yeah. So we have walkie-talkies that our staff will have. We'll have 3 coaches there this year. Likely last year we had one of the players hold a walkie-talkie, and if that's the case this year, it will be the same guy. Hopefully every day. Obviously we've got some roster lineups changes that may change, but walkie-talkies to keep it simple. The good old one arm wave will stay part of the game. So little weird for sure. I bet probably a little bit weirder for fans looking down at a bullpen and seeing 25 guys rather than your typical 10 or 12. But no, we'll make it work.
So how's that going to work with the hitters? Is it going to be like a certain swing direction to try and call them back to the dugout? Or
yeah, I don't know how we're gonna make that happen, but no, we're working on it. Like I said, every day it's we got something new that pops up and something goofy, and I think for us and this whole thing is trying to keep it light with our guys. Yes, it's very different and tough to stay focused on, but if we can keep it light and make the most of it, then we'll be all right.
Before we return to our interview with Evan Moorhouse, we wanted to share a message from one of our sponsors, Changeup. We're excited to announce a brand new partnership this season with Changeup, a cutting-edge, player-centric pitch tracking solution promoting health and safety, allowing coaches to capture and analyze a proprietary set of performance analytics, and helping pitchers maximize their potentials. Coming to baseball programs around the world this year, Changeup eliminates the administrative overhead associated with adhering to pitch count regulations, allowing coaches to focus on baseball. Coaches and parents at all levels, Little League, AAU, high school, and the collegiate level, take notice. Changeup is the clear choice to ensure your pitchers aren't being thrown too much or too often and are getting proper rest. Together, we can make this great game even better by protecting arms and ensuring compliance with pitching guidelines. For more information, visit Changeup's website, www.changeup.io. That's www.change-up.io. Changeup. Every pitch counts. We now return to our interview with Evan Moorhouse.
So transitioning now into talks about the team's performance on the diamond and how you're excited for this summer. Last year, you guys struggled a little bit, which is certainly not uncommon for a team in their first year in the league. How do you guys plan to reload in year two, and what kind of added motivation does last year's performance add onto what you guys are trying to attain this summer?
I think the motivation started as soon as the last game ended. Nobody likes losing, specifically me. But I think that was kind of a smack in the face for us. So we got a lot of work to do. Granted, you can say we put a team together in 6 months, but so be it. At the end of the day, we're about winning baseball games, and we needed to make a lot of changes and bring in people that would continue to help us get to where we want to be. We've brought in Hunter Golden this year, who's a new director of player personnel. With a heck of a track record. He's won 2 FCBL championships, the Valley Blue Sox around the corner. So he's put a lot of quality rosters to get together, and he's done that again this year twice. We had one roster, and then when COVID hit, we had to revamp the whole thing with losing host families and so on and so forth. And he's been an absolute warrior through all of that. And again, as I think you guys will see this year, a lot of top talent locally. And we've brought in Tony Deschler as a new coach this year, as assistant Kyle Bernier. Both great guys, really personable, and have been really bought into this whole thing since day one. And even still through COVID, they've been nothing but positive and understanding of the situation. And they've rolled with the punches. So now, we have our core group of people that we think is going to put the best team on the field, and I think you guys will see that. Like I said, in terms of the talent, this team this year is what we kind of envisioned when we first started the team. It's pretty much a Western Mass all-star team, so to speak. If you go up and down our roster, you'll see some of the best players that have come out of Western Mass in the last 4 years are on this team. A lot of guys, Nick Domkowski being one of them, Andre Marrero, both West Springfield guys, Drew DiMartino, from Pittsfield. The list goes on. It's pretty exciting, and now it's up to those guys to put it together on the field.
And how valuable is it for you guys to have a director of player personnel, as you mentioned, Hunter Golden last year, obviously just trying to assemble a roster and figure out the logistics of host families. Now that you've done one lap around the FCBL circuit, now you have a guy in a completely new role, and you mentioned a new field manager. So what is it like just to have that new energy and those guys in the locker room and now finally talking to the players on the diamond in practice?
It's great. I tell you what, it takes a whole bunch of stress off my plate. That's for sure. Last year I was trying to kind of flip double duty and build a roster, and also, worry about our sponsorships and field maintenance. And there's 1,000 things on my plate this year. It's been nice to have Hunter, who not only does that stuff, but is, like I said, his track record's incredible. He's really knowledgeable about what he's doing. Extremely well connected with the baseball world, the baseball circle. And, he's been nothing but fantastic, a great ad for us. And, his communication level is bar none. I didn't go a week last winter without hearing from Hunter Golden at some point or another, whether it was 8 in the morning or 10:30 at night, as I like to joke with him. But he's been fantastic. And then, like I said, Tony, younger this year, younger coach than we had previous, but it has brought kind of that younger energy to the group. And is again, since he's been here, it's been an absolute joy, and to see them finally put their vision together, because it's been less of mine and more of theirs in terms of the personnel that are on the field. To see them kind of light up yesterday with the guys that they've talked about for the last 5 months, finally, see some guys put some over the left field scoreboard was pretty exciting.
Last year, again, we talked about the record, but you guys did have some bright spots. Jack Fox broke the strikeout record for the FCBL, and Thomas Joyce was the batting champion. What was it like to have those guys on your team and break those records just in your first season?
That was awesome. Again, things you don't really think about prior to a season when you're trying to put a team together so late. That really wasn't something that was on our radar. We weren't putting together guys to try and break records, but to your point, in a season where there weren't a lot of bright spots, those two obviously provided some exciting baseball for us down the stretch in the middle of the season when those those achievements became realistic for them. And I think on top of that, and Matt could attest to this, both Jack and Thomas are just elite human beings, and they were phenomenal to just have around the ball field every day. And both also elder statesmen. They were both seniors last year at their respective schools, and they provided an incredible amount of leadership for us, and we're also able to keep a lot of guys positive in a oftentimes not very positive environment.
Unfortunately, Fox and Joyce won't be returning, but you guys are returning a number of players, including Danny Crossan, Chase Jeter, Dolan O'Castle, Devin Kellogg. What's it like to have those guys back on your team and kind of provide leadership for some of the new guys on your team this year?
They're great. Again, kind of fits that mold that I spoke of with Thomas and Jack. Again, elite human beings. And you talk about you obviously want to build a team around quality athletes and put a winning product on the field. But for me, and I think for a lot of people in this office, it starts with the quality of the person. And those guys are some of the best, can hold a conversation with the best from, especially OC. That guy talks like you don't believe. But, we're thrilled to have them back. And a lot of them, it was on their own doing. They reached out to me and Hunter and expressed interest in being back here, which I think says a lot about our group and how much, we are invested in our guys that are here. They become part of the Starfire family. And, I think for us to have them back and we talked a lot last year about setting the standard for what we want the Starfires team and brand and organization to be about, and those guys exemplify it to the fullest extent. Again, they just they wear the crest well, and hopefully that's something that the new guys this year will feed off of.
And on top of having that character and just that Starfire mold, how valuable do you think it's going to be to have players who've gone through the summer ball circuit, especially with the season reduced from 56 games to 39, with it being more of a sprint than a marathon, and having that room for a losing streak to be so much more significant where, you only have so much time to string together a good regular season?
Yeah, I think, they certainly will bring value in that sense. But I think also, something we've talked about, Matt, exactly is what you just said, is there's very, small room for error here. And I think that message, whether it be from the coaching staff or other players who've been through the circuit, has been conveyed pretty clearly. Like you said, a 5-game losing streak could end your season. Hopefully for us, we're in a place where it doesn't. But that's just it. We talk about, maybe in a 56 game season, these first 10, 12 games, you're trying to feel guys out and figure out, who belongs where and so on and so forth. But realistically, maybe we got 2 games for that. But, in a 39 game season, you're balanced, same thing that you guys will see when the MLB starts up, the 60 game season. It's going to be the same idea. We have to be ready to go right from Jump Street. And if we're not, then we're going to have to fight and claw to get back into a playoff spot.
So we talked about the returning guys. Let's talk about the new guys. Specifically, according to your roster, you're bringing in top pro prospect from 2019, Mark Coley. What's it like to have him on the team? And can you talk about the other talent that you guys are bringing in this summer?
Of course, Mark's a funny one. We signed him about 48 hours ago. So you guys saw that roster, and I had probably just put that name up there when you saw it. He called and expressed interest. We had spoken to him, throughout the off season to see if he was interested. Obviously, somewhat assumed he would be either playing in a different league or if he came back with Pittsfield. So with Pittsfield being out, other leagues being down, we were the option, and he showed up to practice and didn't disappoint by any means. I think we lost about a half dozen baseballs yesterday off his bat alone. So he's certainly going to be fun to watch. There's no question about that. He proved that last year. But you look at some of the other guys in our roster. I mean, Reggie Crawford, who's coming in from UConn, was drafted out of high school by Kansas City. But the way his freshman year went at UConn, or shortened season, I should say, went, I would imagine that draft class is going to be something he has his eyes on. He was putting up video game numbers at UConn. I don't know him off the top of my head. I just know they were better than anything I could do in a wiffle ball game. So he's going to be someone to watch for sure. A couple of our local guys that we're thrilled to have this year: Ramon Jimenez from BC, Chicopee, Mass native. He's been one of the guys that's been at the field almost every day. I've gone, maybe one day a week where I don't hear from him. He's an absolute animal when it comes to getting his work in. Andre Marrero, again, somebody I've already mentioned, somebody that we'll keep an eye on, and Nick Domkowski on the hill as well. We're fortunate, to have these guys that are coming from, what we thought were going to be Cape League players, and even any CBL players to an extent. But we're thrilled to have them. It's like I said earlier, it kind of brings a little bit of a different energy to the ballpark. And hopefully, you see that when the fans show up too. Hopefully they're able to see really the quality of ball player that we have in the park this year, because it's, not to knock any other roster that the league has seen before, but it's a different talent pool this year. And it's going to be some of the best baseball a lot of people will see.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how many teams are loaded this year, and you guys fully just puts that on a whole new pedestal.
Absolutely.
So another new addition to your team is Stella Starfire. Can you tell us about her and what went into bringing her in this summer?
Yeah, actually, my middle brother, I have 2 younger brothers, and one of them still plays college ball, and we typically go down to Florida every year to see him play. And just so happens my older sister lives down there as well, so that's kind of the family's time to see her and see my niece and my brother-in-law, and we do a family dinner every time we're down there. And she works at Disney, so she's obviously got the creative gene in the family, and it was something she brought up at a dinner party and said, well, you guys need a mascot. And not something that was typically or really on our radar much going into the season. And that just got the ball rolling. I think my father fell in love with it from the drop of a hat. And I had nothing to do with it. Those two were on the phone more than, I was talking to my own father here. So they kind of, they formulated that whole thing, and CT and those guys did a casting call for someone that would come in, and we found our Stella, and Our plan this year for her has changed a little bit. We hope that, she'd be somewhat of an MC throughout the games, so to speak, and be part of some of the promotional things that we're doing. We're going to have to rework that, just like we've had to rework 100% of what we're doing this year. So really, we're really excited about her. She's high energy, and she's a great brand ambassador for us. And we hope to have her out in the community a lot, and be available for just about anything Starfire related. So, hopefully fans take to her a bit this year at Bullens Field, and hopefully we can really present her in a way that is both really positive for everyone at the game, but also, again, along the guidelines of COVID.
Now, you just alluded to it. You come from a pretty prominent baseball family. Your father, Donnie, one of the two co-owners of the team, and your younger brother, Sean, played for the Starfires last summer. What is it like to have that environment in place for you, and just to get a chance to see Sean on the diamond and have that relationship with your dad, along with CT in charge of the ball club, who really launched this whole operation last summer?
Yeah, it's special. It's in theory, I work for my dad, I guess, but so that's an odd dynamic. But to kind of have and CT, we used to joke. My father and CT go back a long ways, and we used to joke that CT was the long lost uncle we never had. He's fits into the Moorhouse mold really well, and obviously being his own person, but just someone that we love being around every day. And to have Sean part of the inaugural season, obviously very special for us to see him go out opening day lineup, being announced at first base was certainly, I think, an emotional night for everybody in our family. But again, and this has been joked about in the local news as well. We're a hockey family originally, so this baseball thing is kind of different than what we're used to, but it's special, and getting to continue to watch. He plays at my alma mater at Westfield State. Sean does. So getting to go back up there and watch him play some games and relive some old memories with the alumni that are at games is special. So it's a great dynamic. And we still got one of the youngest Moorhouse brothers still hanging on to hockey. So he's our last hope that maybe he doesn't fall into this whole baseball thing. But it's great. And Mrs. Moorhouse, my mother, you'll see her at the games working the beer garden out back. So it's a true family affair. It's work to an extent, but as I always say, you get to go to the ballpark every day. You can't really complain too much about doing work. And when your whole family's there, it just makes it that much better.
So we'll get to the hockey stuff in 1 second, but I wanted to ask about the Westfield ties first. So you mentioned it, you attended Westfield State, and baseball has deep roots in the town of Westfield. What is it like to be able to provide fans an outlet to watch baseball, especially this summer? And what do you think this team means to the community going into your second year?
Well, I hope it means a lot. I know how much this community means to us. Like you said, I've grown up here my entire life, high school, elementary school, high school, and college. And they've been incredible to us. And it's our goal to give them with something to be proud of. And I think that was probably the toughest part for me last year. Westfield is considered title town, so to speak, when it comes to local sports. And for us to not kind of be in that conversation ate at me quite a bit. But again, just an incredible community and the support, and even our work with Babe Ruth. We share the field with Babe Ruth. Dan Welch, who's been running Babe Ruth since I was playing there, has worked hand in hand with us to make this thing possible. And we want to do whatever we can to make this community proud of us. And usually that starts with winning, but if we can add something to the community in a way that provides hope in our current situation, and something to do, something to get out of the house for, that's the ultimate goal. Whatever we can do to give back to them after they've given so much to us, we couldn't ask for anything more, and we're going to continue to do that, not just in the current state, but hopefully for years to come, find ways to really give back to a community that's really close to us and special to us.
So now moving on to your experience on the ice. You were a two-sport athlete at Westfield State. You have an extensive background in hockey. What is it like straddling those 2 seasons, both in your roles in hockey and then having to serve as GM for the Starfires in the summer? And what does hockey mean to you and your family?
I mean, it means the world to us. I never envisioned being a college baseball player growing up. It just kind of happened that it fell that way when I was, my senior year of high school. I got asked to go play at Westfield State, and that never even crossed my mind that I was going to be a baseball player. But the opportunity arose, and I ran with it. And best decision I ever made in my life. Some of the best friends that to this day I met at that school. But in terms of straddling it now, I just started down at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, which was a big change for me. But fortunately, the seasons are at 2 different times, so they don't clash in terms of games. And I actually just had a Brown athletics meeting this morning, so I juggle them hand in hand. And the thing that was really important to me in my decision to go to Brown and start work there was the staff there that was so welcoming to the idea. It's kind of tough to tell an athletics program that, hey, oh, by the way, I do this thing where I'm, got to run a baseball team in the summer. And, they were really receptive to that. And they've been super supportive. And even I was previously at the University of Vermont, which is awesome, and which something that I really love about the hockey community is that it's very tight knit and it's super supportive. Everybody in hockey it has each other's backs, and I still get texts from both administrations asking me how the season's going. They're pretty much invested in it as much as I am. They want to know who's playing, and they got the gear at their respective schools, so it's great. I mean, it's not that difficult to judge, and having Hunter and Tony this season as a full 12-month period be more involved with the baseball side of things and the roster construction has taken, like I said, a lot of load off my plate. So it's been easier to juggle, and it's been easier to focus on each one, and really I can put my best into each at this point now that I have that support and I have that help from this great group.
So athletically, which one are you more superior at, hockey or baseball?
Oh, geez. That's a tough question. I'd say my recent years, I'd say baseball. I couldn't hit for a lick, but I could play some pretty solid defense and call an average baseball game behind the plate. So I would say baseball. Don't ask me to do either of them now because my knees are pretty much gone. But yeah, I still like to play both if I can, but it's really, like I said, it's not enjoyable for my knees by any means.
And then going a little off the grid a little bit, you made a nice little hype video on the Starfires social media for this upcoming season. Have you been into video editing for long? Because that was a very tight looking video.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something I've had a huge passion for since college. I think a friend of mine or maybe my parents got me a GoPro camera for vacation one year, and had it underwater and had it on my head and playing frisbee and all that stuff. And I was really fascinated with the footage and the creativity that comes out of it. There's really, the possibilities are endless between not only the footage but the music and the sound that goes to it. It's something that has become a huge hobby of mine, and something that if I have an opportunity to create something, I love it because it like I said, it opens that it opens your mind a little bit to the possibilities and allows you to really, I like to visualize it before I make it and then see if I can do it. Like that video that you guys saw, which one of the not to toot my own horn, but one of the best I think I've ever made. Was something that I envisioned and it didn't even meet exactly what I thought it would be. But it's again something I'm really passionate about, and a nice hobby to keep my mind at ease and get me away from some of the stresses of sports life.
Well, I hope we'll see that little DJI doing some time lapses at Billy Bullens this
Oh,
summer.
it'll be out there. It'll be out there.
Some video content. Love
Yeah.
to hear it. And before we transition into our final segment, what's a message that you want to share with the Starfire fans as we launch into the season with opening day happening tonight on release day?
Yeah, you know what? I think to our fans and fans across the Futures League and across baseball, they've been so patient, and we owe them a huge thank you, and they've been so invested in us, even just asking if we're going to play or what they can do to help. We're just so excited to finally give them something to look forward to and something to do, really, instead of sitting at home. They get to go out somewhere and watch baseball, and we're so fortunate to have the fans that we do. And they're what make this thing tick, and they're what make it so enjoyable for all of us, is to put some smiles on some faces. So a huge thank you to them, and hopefully we'll see a lot of them down at Billy Bullens this year.
So, Evan, this has been awesome so far. We wanted to move on to one final segment. It is called Quick Hits, and it's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality and innovative design since 1993. Saw you guys got the sweet new 10-year patch on the side. I got my Starfires hat in my closet, wear it with pride. So they provide some quality headwear.
Sharp hats, ready to rep it.
So we have a couple more questions for you, for our audience to get to know you a little bit better, to get inside the head of Evan Moorhouse, if that's cool with you. Ready to roll?
I don't know if they want to do that, but let's give it a shot.
All right, let's try it out.
All right.
Who's your favorite all-time teammate? We'll stick with baseball first, but maybe if you want to give a hockey too, just anyone who in your athletic career that you instantly just have had the pleasure of sharing your athletic experience with.
I'm going to catch so much heat for this, but I'll say Kyle Murphy. He's a Westfield kid that probably my best friend growing up. We went to Westfield High together. We played Little League together, Babe Ruth, up through Westfield High, came to Westfield State, played together, lived together in college. One of my all-time best friends. So I'll put him on the spot as my best teammate. Was he a good teammate? I don't know, but I've known him the longest. So it was really special growing up and having that full kind of life experience alongside him. Hockey-wise, that's tough. There's a lot of characters in a hockey locker room, and I don't know if I could pick one in specific. So I'm gonna put the hockey one to rest.
And then you guys had a chance to presumably travel to some other ballparks in the league. What was the favorite one that you had a chance to see and watch a game at?
I like, I don't know if this is a stock answer, but I like Fit and Field, Worcester Bravehearts. I think primarily because for specifically last year, a new team coming into the league and trying to see how things should operate. I think they are the model. Obviously their fan base is incredible and they do a great job, but in terms of really just having all their ducks in a row and knowing how to run a Futures League game, being there felt just, it's a great environment and great place to watch a game too, especially with the sun setting and left.
Yeah, understandable. So now, what was your walk-up music, either at Westfield State or if you had a chance to skate out to anything on the rink? I don't know. What was the one song that when you put on, you knew it was ready to play?
I'm a huge Bruce guy, Bruce Springsteen. So those were my primary ones. I would kind of flip them from year to year. I think my senior year, I might have put up Hot Steppers by Yini Kamazi to kind of throw a curveball at people. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Bruce, the boss. He's always part of that mix.
And then favorite big league team?
Tampa Bay Rays, bar none. Maybe a little bit of inspiration for our colors when we were designing the team, but I feel like I have to tell people this. I've been a Devil Rays fan before they were Rays, so I don't like people calling me a bandwagon fan. Devil Rays all day.
Walk us through that process, how you became a fan back in the day, because, back in the early 2000s, the Devil Rays did not have that postseason success that they had that you saw maybe in like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, I caught a lot of heat for that growing up. It was I had to try and fight my way into people getting why I liked the team. But I guess the short story, hockey guy, the first hockey card that I ever got, or goalie card, I should say, was a guy by the name of John Grant. He was a goalie for the Bruins at the time, and they traded him to the Tampa Bay Lightning in '03, I believe it was. And from that point on, I hated Boston for getting rid of my guy. So I went straight to Tampa Lightning, Tampa Bay Rays, Buccaneers a little bit, but I'm more of a Dolphins fan.
Okay. I saw in your retweets you gave some high praise to the Lightning for their hype video that they put out, both on the video editing side and on the hockey side. That was pretty impressive.
They do great stuff, and what's cool for me is part of what we do here is we try to model some of the stuff we do after them. We try and emulate the best, and they obviously do a good job. So we do what we can to learn from their posts and their videos, and try and come up with similar stuff.
Is the dome at Billy Bowen's going up soon?
Yeah, that's a work in progress. We're actually building rings A, B, and C right now. Obviously, the C ring being a home run. That one's going to hang just over dead center, and the A ring is it's a ground, or B ring's ground rule double. It's figured out. A ring's live though, so if it hits that and bounces around, it's backyard goals.
Okay, we'll buy it. And you know what? We're hoping for more postseason success for you guys than the Lightning. Hopefully, you guys don't get swept out of the first round this year.
Please. I don't need to hear it.
All right, I'm sure you've heard it enough. Getting back into the questions. Favorite big league player, could be all time or current.
I like my catchers. I've always liked Mike Zunino. But if I had to pick one, I loved Johnny Gomes when he was with the Rays. I know he's a Red Sox hit, but for me, I liked him prior, but in '08 with the brawl with the Red Sox and James Shield, Coco Crisp. What's great about that video, if you watch that over, I think the second guy after the pitcher and the catcher in that brawl is the left fielder, Johnny Gomes. So between all the guys that are on the infield, he beat them all to that brawl. And that at that point, I realized what a team guy he was, aside from the theatrics and, I think I used to even do the helmet waggle when I was a kid that he used to do to emulate him. So Johnny Gomes is number one.
His helmet punt and beer punts were an inspiration. I loved watching him on the 2013 Red Sox team. So
yeah, he's an easy one to pick if you look back at some of those teams for sure.
A kind of player that any team could use in their locker room. What kind of bat and glove did you use when you played?
I actually always used Easton. I was an Easton guy, I think, my entire life, even through college. Growing up, my neighbor, his dad, Steve Sutton, worked at Easton. So he always pushed Easton on me and was great in that regard. And I think, when I first moved to Westfield and he got me into the local leagues, I think he gave me my first glove, and it was Easton. And I'm kind of one of those guys that likes to stick to what I'm familiar with. And I wore an Easton glove all the way up through college, and I think I still have a few lying around the house somewhere.
And then what about cleats? What cleats were you lacing up back in the day?
Well, when Easton made cleats, they were Easton. But once they stopped, I don't know the year, I switched over to New Balance. I was a huge gear junkie. Like I had to customize them if I could. And, everything had to match between my sunglasses and my cleats. And I was looking back on it, I probably spent money I didn't need to on trying to make everything look good, but I didn't hit. So I had to at least look good when I was up there,
Understandable. How about a baseball nickname that you've had or have currently?
Since college, it's been Morsey. I don't know how to spell it yet. I'm still trying to figure that out, but it's kind of a combination. In hockey, you add a lot of Y's and IEs and S's to the end of names just to make them a nickname, and they add IE to mine, and that's it. Morsey still is. I still get called Morsey. I don't think anyone's called me Evan in a long time besides you guys. Thank you. Reminded me what my name was.
Someone's got to put some respect on that name.
So we're not calling you Morsey. That's out of the question.
Yeah. You guys got to come up with something a little more clever.
Okay.
All right, we'll do. How about any superstitions that you had or even have now as you're in your current position?
I think a lot for me, my playing days was all pregame based. Everything had to go on starting with the left side, whether that's socks, cleats, wrist tape, that all went on. Left had to go on before the right. And I had a pregame, just kind of a stretch routine that guys still make fun of me for. I used to bring a soccer ball out and kick it around. And I think that was part of the hockey guy in me too, that brought that out. So that's really it. I didn't have anything that really was crazy. It was just kind of doing things that way to get my body ready for the game. And then once I was in the game, it was just, business as usual.
How about a game day meal, your favorite thing to eat either before or after games?
I'd like to say I was really smart with what I ate and was a good health guy, but post-game buffalo chicken pizza at the Dining Commons was knockout. I mean, you had to hope that they had it because it wasn't an everyday thing. But if there was buff chick pizza, the Westfield State Dining Commons, I ate like eight slices, and I think I even grabbed a to-go box and brought them home. Those were incredible. Pre-game, whatever I could grab and go and get to the field was the least of my concern.
Yeah, hey, if you're hungry, you're hungry,
Yeah.
I know obviously they're not allowed this year, but bubblegum or sunflower seeds, what's your preference?
Seeds. Yeah. Flavor, probably nacho cheese, maybe, I guess. Whatever. If they were there that I was eating them, I didn't really care about the flavor. So
nacho cheese has been a popular one, so that's
as long as it wasn't dill pickle. The people that do dill pickles, there it is. Yeah. Huge dill pickle guy. Owen Shadrick. I should have suspected it. Those guys, super suspect. Dill pickle.
See, Evan, if you actually watched the podcast, that you would know that 2 episodes ago I kind of bragged about that.
So see, you're sitting at 18 seats away from me at all times. 6 feet has just been pushed to 24.
I mean, if I remember, you were asking for some of my seats last year, but we're just gonna move on from that question, I guess. How about a favorite all-time baseball memory?
Wow. Oh, so my freshman year of college, we went to Cuba as a baseball team. We went for 3 days or 3 nights, 4 days, I think it was. Played 2 games, 1 practice, 2 games against the team in Havana. I was actually at the stadium that the Rays had played a pro game at a few years back. So we did it well before they did. We stayed in downtown Havana, Cuba. Did the tours, and it was a surreal experience, just because it's unlike any other world that you've seen before. And if you ever get the opportunity to go, and it's like you're walking into a time warp with the trade bands that they've had for the years past. Some of the cars that are there. Again, you feel like you're in the 1960s and you're, buzzing around. That's pretty cool. But just, that's something that is already difficult to do for anybody. But, the opportunity to do that for us was just something I'll never forget.
What was it like playing against a team from Cuba? Was there any adjustment in play style, or what was that experience like?
Well, aside from seeing 93 miles an hour from the left side for the first time in my life, it was pretty normal baseball. I think one of the funniest things is obviously not their English not the greatest down there, and our first day of practice was kind of a meet and greet day as well with their team. And our second baseman traded gloves with one of the Cuban second basemen just to try out, or so he thought. And practice for the Cuban team ended, and the kid ran off with his glove because he thought that they made an even trade and they were going to keep him. So we had to chase that kid down and explain to him that, he needed his glove for the upcoming series. So that was kind of it in terms of baseball. You just marvel at not only their commitment to the game, but the way that they operate, and that they're just like, it's incredible to watch. It was a surreal experience, and like I said, I'll never forget it, and I'm super thankful to the university for that opportunity.
Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been awesome. It was great catching up with you. You guys open up Friday, July 3rd at New Britain, and you're going to be back at Billy Boland's for the home opener on Wednesday, July 8th against Worcester, 6:30 p.m. I'll be there. So excited to see you guys back in action. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure. You guys do a great job, and look forward for many more of these down the road.
Thank you so much, sir. This has been episode 11 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe. We're streaming on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. See everyone soon.
Happy opening day!